Welcome to Master Your Emotions, full audiobook summary. Today we journey through the lessons of author Thibaut Meurisse, who teaches that our emotions are not mysterious forces we must fear, but understandable signals we can learn to guide. The author, Thibaut Meurisse. Thibaut Meurisse is a French personal development author and coach. He started his professional life in a corporate environment, working in performance-oriented settings that often left him questioning the balance between productivity and inner peace. Like many seekers, he went through periods of anxiety, self-doubt, and emotional confusion. But rather than accept those states as permanent, he studied them. He read psychology, neuroscience, philosophy, and spirituality, distilling what he learned into practical systems. He began sharing those systems online through a self-improvement blog. Readers connected with his clarity, simple, direct, and applicable steps that anyone could follow. That clarity became the heart of his writing style. Concise chapters, actionable reflections, and real-world examples. Master Your Emotions became one of his most beloved works because it met a universal need. The desire to stop being ruled by feelings and start using them intelligently. The core message. Meurisse begins with a simple promise. When you understand what emotions are and how they work, you can stop being their prisoner. He explains that emotions are not enemies, they are messengers, but most people misinterpret the message. We either suppress emotions, letting them rot inside, or explode impulsively and regret it later. Emotional mastery lies in neither suppression nor explosion. It lies in understanding. He defines mastery not as permanent calmness, but as conscious choice. You can't prevent waves, but you can learn to surf. The science of feelings. Every emotion arises from thoughts, and every thought is filtered through beliefs. When something happens, your brain interprets it instantly. That interpretation produces chemicals, neurotransmitters, hormones, that you experience as bodily sensations. That's emotion. So the true origin of emotion is meaning. Change the meaning and you change the feeling. He gives the example. Event. Someone ignores your message. Thought. They dislike me. Feeling. Rejection. Sadness. Change the thought. They might be busy. Immediately the emotion softens. The event didn't change. Only the interpretation did. This idea is liberating. It means we have leverage. If emotions come from interpretations, then mastering emotions is mastering interpretation. The inner dialogue that shapes your reality. The emotional chain. Meurisse presents a simple chain you should memorize. Event, thought, emotion, reaction, outcome. Most people focus only on reaction and outcome, trying to change behavior while ignoring the upstream cause. But if you intervene earlier, at thought, you prevent unnecessary suffering. He reminds us, the power is not in fighting emotions, but in understanding the thought that created them. Understanding the purpose of emotions are feedback systems. They tell you when something matters, when a boundary was crossed, or when you're aligned or misaligned with your values. Fear warns you of threat or prepares you to act. Anger demands justice or correction. Sadness signals loss and the need for renewal. Joy rewards alignment and connection. When you learn to treat emotions as data, you stop seeing them as flaws. Instead, they become a dashboard guiding your growth. Step 1. Awareness. The first pillar of mastery is awareness. You cannot change what you do not notice. Developing awareness begins with labeling. Whenever you feel something, pause and name it out loud. I feel anxious. I feel disappointed. I feel relieved. Labeling engages the rational brain and reduces emotional intensity by almost 50%, a fact confirmed by neuroscience research that Meurisse references. The act of naming creates distance between you and the emotion. You become the observer rather than the participant. Step 2. Acceptance. Most people resist emotions they dislike. We say, I shouldn't feel angry, or I must stop feeling jealous. But suppression stores tension in the body and makes the emotion return stronger.
Acceptance does not mean approval. It means allowing the experience to exist without judgment. When you say, I allow myself to feel angry, you remove the shame attached to anger. Then you can work with it rationally. Meurisse uses the metaphor of a guest in your house. Emotions are guests that come to deliver a message. If you slam the door, they knock louder. If you invite them in, listen briefly, and thank them, they leave peacefully. Step 3. Inquiry. Once awareness and acceptance are in place, you inquire. Ask 3 golden questions. What thought created this emotion? Is that thought absolutely true? What is a more empowering way to see this situation? This method mirrors cognitive behavioral techniques, but in Meurisse's clear minimalist style. Each question peels back one layer of illusion. Often you'll find that the emotion stemmed not from reality, but from assumption. Step 4. Choice. After awareness, acceptance, and inquiry, you reclaim choice. Choice is where mastery lives. You can choose your next thought, your next interpretation, and your next action. He reminds us, freedom is not the absence of emotion, but the presence of choice. Emotional triggers. Triggers are automatic reactions built from past experiences. Maybe criticism reminds you of childhood rejection. Maybe silence reminds you of neglect. The moment someone says something similar, your nervous system fires old programming. To master triggers, you must identify patterns. Keep a trigger journal. Every time a strong emotion appears, record the event, the feeling, the story you told yourself, the physical sensations. After 2 weeks, patterns emerge. You'll see which areas of your life carry unresolved wounds. Awareness dissolves half their power. Expectations and reality. One of the book's recurring lessons is that expectations are the hidden source of most suffering. We expect people to behave a certain way, life to be fair, and events to align with our timelines. When they don't, we feel frustration and betrayal. Meurisse advises, replace expectation with preference. You can prefer outcomes without demanding them. Say, I prefer this happens, but I'll remain at peace if it doesn't. This small shift protects your peace while keeping motivation alive.
Attachment and letting go. Every attachment breeds potential pain. The more tightly you cling, the more it hurts when reality differs. Letting go doesn't mean indifference. It means refusing to base your happiness on conditions outside your control. He quotes a timeless principle: you can enjoy everything but depend on nothing. This attitude builds emotional independence, the ultimate mastery, the emotion formula. To summarize, Meurisse offers an elegant equation: emotion, perception, expectation. When perception falls below expectation, negative emotion arises. When perception exceeds expectation, joy appears. So the secret is either improving perception, see reality clearly, or adjusting expectation, want less, appreciate more. Practical tools, emotional hygiene. Meurisse emphasizes that emotional control is a skill, not a mood. You train it daily through small rituals, morning intention. Each morning decide, no matter what happens, I will choose calm. Mindful breathing. Before reacting, take 3 conscious breaths. Gratitude journal. List 3 small things that went right. Gratitude rewires focus. Evening reflection. Ask, what emotion dominated my day and what thought fueled it? Each practice is a weight lift for the emotional muscle. The role of the body emotions manifest physically. Tight chest, clenched jaw, tense shoulders. These are signals. Changing body posture changes emotion. Stand tall, breathe deep, smile gently, even for 10 seconds. The mind follows the body's lead. He calls this reverse engineering calmness. It works because emotion and physiology are intertwined. Inner dialogue. Self-talk determines emotional quality. Harsh self-talk produces chronic stress. Supportive self-talk builds resilience. Whenever you catch yourself saying, I can't handle this, reframe, I can learn to handle this. The word learn invites growth instead of defeat. The danger of rumination. Meurisse warns about mental loops. Replaying the same event repeatedly. Rumination masquerades as problem-solving but actually amplifies pain. The cure is action or attention shift. When you catch yourself stuck in a thought spiral, stand up, change environment, move your body, or do a small constructive task. Physical action interrupts mental inertia. Emotional responsibility. Taking responsibility means owning your interpretations. No one makes you feel anything without your mental participation. Recognizing this truth is uncomfortable, but empowering. It shifts you from victim to creator. He writes, people can trigger your wounds, but they cannot dictate your response. Responsibility equals freedom. The hidden architects of emotion, thoughts and beliefs. Every emotion you experience is rooted in a belief. A belief is a repeated thought accepted as truth. You may not even know it's there, but it filters your perception. For instance, if you believe, I must please everyone to be loved, every disagreement will feel like rejection. The feeling of rejection doesn't come from the situation. It comes from that belief. To master your emotions, you must examine your hidden architecture of belief. Meurisse teaches a 3-step process called belief excavation. Identify the recurring negative emotion. Ask, what must I believe for this feeling to exist? Challenge the belief. Replace it with one that serves growth. Let's see an example. Emotion. Resentment when a friend cancels plans. Possible belief. If people cancel on me, they don't respect me. Counter belief. People cancel for many reasons, and my worth doesn't depend on it. Each time you apply this, you loosen the grip of emotional patterns that have been controlling you for years. The power of focus. Your mind magnifies what it focuses on. Focus on problems. Emotions of fear, anxiety, and anger grow stronger. Focus on progress and gratitude. Feelings of confidence and calm expand. Meurisse writes, energy flows where attention goes. Choose your focus wisely. He recommends 3 focus practices. Morning direction. Before your day begins, decide the emotional state you want to inhabit. Calm, curious, joyful, courageous. Midday. Reset. At lunchtime, check your state. Ask, am I still in that emotion I chose? If not, breathe deeply, realign, and continue. Evening reflection. Name 3 moments where you directed your focus well. These small check-ins slowly build emotional discipline. Emotional habits. How feelings become automatic. You might think emotions just happen spontaneously, but they're habits too. If you constantly complain, your brain wires for negativity. If you practice gratitude, it wires for appreciation. Neuroscience confirms this through neuroplasticity. Repeated thoughts strengthen neural pathways. Meurisse encourages you to become the architect of those pathways. He gives an example. Imagine two people in identical circumstances, same income, same city, same weather. One feels chronically stressed, the other peaceful. The difference lies in emotional habit, what they practice daily. The first practices worry, the second practices acceptance. The emotional reprogramming formula. To reprogram your emotional patterns, Meurisse gives a 5-step method. Spot the trigger. Be alert to the exact moment emotion begins. A tone of voice, an image, a memory. Pause the reaction. Take a deep breath. This moment of awareness interrupts automation. Label the emotion. Say, this is irritation. This is sadness. The moment you label, you gain control. Ask the transforming question, what meaning am I giving this event? Reframe the meaning. Create an alternative interpretation that empowers rather than weakens. Here's an illustration. You see someone succeed faster than you. The default thought, I'm falling behind. Emotion, envy, and inadequacy. Reframe. Their success shows what's possible for me. New emotion, inspiration. Same event, different meaning, completely different feeling. This is emotional alchemy, turning painful reactions into fuel for growth. Emotional time travel, memory and projection. Emotions don't just come from the present, they're also shaped by memory and projection. Memory creates patterns. A single rejection years ago can teach your brain that rejection equals danger. Projection does the opposite. It creates fear about the future that hasn't happened yet. Meurisse suggests, your mind is a time traveler. Bring it home. Whenever you feel anxious, ask, am I reacting to this moment or to a memory or projection? Ground yourself in the present by naming 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. This anchors emotion in reality. The story principle. Emotions follow narratives. Every emotion is part of a story you tell yourself. The story could be, people always let me down, or I'm always strong no matter what. Change the story and your emotions must follow. Here's a small example. Old story. I'm unlucky. Emotion? Hopelessness. New story. I'm learning resilience through challenges. Emotion? Quiet strength. Your brain believes the story you repeat most often. Choose the empowering version, the emotional scale, moving upwards. Meurisse introduces a simple model inspired by emotional vibration scales from psychology and motivational studies. At the bottom, shame, guilt, apathy, grief. Middle, fear, anger, frustration. Top, acceptance, joy, peace, enthusiasm. You can't leap from despair to joy instantly. You must climb step by step. For instance, from shame, anger, at least anger moves energy. From anger, determination. From determination, hope. From hope, gratitude and peace. The trick is to choose slightly better thoughts each time. If you think, I'm useless, shift to, I'm learning. That tiny upward shift, repeated often, transforms your baseline emotional state over weeks. The role of gratitude. Gratitude is not mere positivity, it's neurochemistry. It increases dopamine and serotonin, which counteract stress hormones. Meurisse suggests an exercise. Every night before bed, write 3 specific gratitudes, but add why you're grateful. For example, I'm grateful for my friend's message because it reminded me I'm loved. Meurisse suggests an exercise. Every night before bed, write 3 specific gratitudes, but add why you're grateful. For example, I'm grateful for my friend's message because it reminded me I'm loved. The why deepens emotional engagement and multiplies the effect. Emotional minimalism. Too much emotional noise, news, gossip, endless scrolling, floods the nervous system. Emotional mastery requires simplicity. Unsubscribe from unnecessary drama. Limit input. Curate your environment. Ask, does this information serve my peace or steal it? The less cluttered your mental space, the easier it is to manage emotions that truly matter. Emotional detachment versus emotional numbness. People often confuse detachment with indifference. Detachment means you feel deeply, but you're not controlled by those feelings. Numbness means you avoid feeling altogether. Meurisse's rule of thumb: detachment feels light and free. Numbness feels heavy and dull. Detachment lets you love people without being enslaved by their behavior. The inner observer. Meditation and presence. Meditation is emotional strength training. When you sit quietly and watch thoughts arise, you learn that emotions are temporary waves, not the ocean itself. Start small, 5 minutes daily. Observe the breath. When emotions arise, label them thinking, then return to breathing. Meurisse compares it to watching clouds pass. The sky never fights the clouds. It allows them to move. That's mastery. The 31 Coping Strategies, the Toolbox. In one of the book's richest chapters, Meurisse provides 31 practical coping strategies for emotional turbulence. Let's explore them in clusters. Cluster 1. Perspective shifts. The 20-year rule: will this matter in 20 years? Usually it won't. Compare downward. Instead of envying those ahead, reflect on how far you've come. Reframe failure as feedback. Each mistake reveals what to adjust, not who you are. Zoom out. See the event as one chapter in a long story. Cluster 2. Physical resets. 5. Breathe. Deeply and slowly. Emotion cannot survive conscious breathing. 6. Move, walk, stretch, dance. Motion changes emotion. 7. Hydrate and rest. Fatigue magnifies negativity. 8. Change your posture. Lift your head, open your chest. Cluster 3. Mental repatterning. 9. Practice gratitude daily. 10. Use affirmations that are believable, e.g., I'm learning to stay calm. 11. Question negative assumptions with evidence. 12. Write your feelings. Journaling externalizes emotion. Cluster 4. Behavioral tactics. 13. Delay reaction. Count to 10 or walk away. 14. Use micro-commitments. Do one small action despite fear. 15. Limit exposure to negative environments. 16. Create emotional anchors, songs, scents, or objects that calm you. Cluster 5. Cognitive tools. 17. Apply the not me, not mine principle. Observe thoughts without ownership. 18. Practice the worst-case acceptance technique. Imagine accepting the worst, then act to improve it. 19. Set daily intentions for your state of mind. 20. Visualize calm responses to recurring stressors. Cluster 6. Social strategies. 21. Limit time with draining people. 22. Communicate boundaries early, not angrily. 23. Ask for clarity instead of assuming motives. 24. Seek perspective from trusted friends. Cluster 7. Spiritual and reflective practices. 25. Meditate or pray for emotional clarity. 26. Read uplifting literature. 27. Journal lessons learned from every setback. 28. Practice forgiveness, not for others' sake, but for yours. 29. Spend time in nature to reset perspective. 30. Celebrate small progress. Joy fuels motivation. 31. Remember impermanence. This too shall pass. Each of these strategies is like a tool in your pocket. You don't need all 31 every day. Just one chosen tool at the right moment can shift an entire emotional state. The feedback loop. How emotions reinforce themselves. Emotions are self-feeding. When you feel anxious, your thoughts become anxious, creating more anxiety. To break the loop, act against the emotion's momentum. If you feel fear, speak gently to someone instead of hiding. If you feel anger, take 3 breaths before replying. Each opposite action sends new signals to your brain. I am in control. This rewiring requires repetition. Neural pathways weaken without use. So every time you interrupt an old reaction, that reaction loses strength. Energy management. Emotional nutrition. Emotions also depend on physical energy. Poor sleep, sugar crashes, and dehydration mimic emotional distress. Before analyzing feelings, check your basics. Have I eaten? Slept? Moved? Breathed? Many emotional storms disappear once the body is cared for. Meurisse calls this emotional nutrition, giving your body what it needs to stabilize your mind. Values and alignment. A deeper source of emotional conflict is values misalignment. When your life actions clash with your inner values, you feel guilt, restlessness, or emptiness. To correct this, list your top 5 values: honesty, love, creativity, service, learning, etc. Then review your week. Did your behavior reflect those values? If not, that's the cause of inner friction. Alignment brings serenity. Misalignment breeds anxiety. The myth of constant happiness. One of Meurisse's most compassionate points is this: emotional mastery is not constant happiness. It is balanced awareness. Chasing perpetual happiness creates more frustration. True mastery means accepting sadness as part of the spectrum, feeling it fully, learning its lesson, and letting it move on. He reminds readers that even joy depends on contrast. Without darkness, light loses meaning. Building emotional resilience, the 4 foundations. To end this section, Meurisse outlines 4 foundations for lasting resilience: self-awareness, knowing your patterns and triggers; self-regulation, calming the body before reacting; optimism, interpreting setbacks as temporary and solvable; connection, maintaining supportive relationships. Work on these 4, and you build an unshakable inner core. We now enter a deeper stage of emotional mastery, applying what you've learned in the real world, especially in relationships, work, and moments of adversity. Because emotional mastery is not proven in silence or solitude. It's tested in tension, in interaction, in pressure. Emotional awareness in relationships. Meurisse explains that many of our emotional challenges arise not in isolation, but through others. Relationships act like mirrors. They reflect our unhealed wounds. When someone irritates you, it's not truly about them. They have simply touched an emotional button within you. That button was installed long ago, by experience, disappointment, or fear. He writes, "Every person you meet is your teacher. They reveal the areas of your emotional life that still need healing. Instead of blaming others for how they make you feel, pause and ask, what is this reaction teaching me about myself?" That question turns conflict into growth. It transforms arguments into lessons. The trap of emotional dependence. In relationships, it's easy to give away your emotional power. We say things like, "You make me happy," or "You ruined my day." But that language reveals emotional dependency. Meurisse reminds us that no one can truly make you feel anything without your internal participation. You interpret, you label, you respond. That is your domain. The moment you reclaim this truth, you reclaim peace. Love then becomes free, not a need, but a gift. True love says, "I choose to share my joy with you, not extract it from you." This shift ends emotional manipulation. You stop trying to control people's behavior to secure your comfort. You start generating peace from within. Handling negativity and emotional contagion. Emotions are contagious. Spend time around angry people and your nervous system begins to mirror theirs. Spend time with grateful people, and your heart opens naturally. Meurisse encourages creating what he calls emotional boundaries. You can empathize with someone's pain without absorbing it. He suggests visualizing your emotions as a sphere of light surrounding you. When negativity approaches, imagine it dissolving before it reaches your center. It's a symbolic gesture, but it trains your brain to separate compassion from emotional overload. He warns, "Your energy is sacred. Protect it as you would your health." That means choosing environments, conversations, and media wisely. Every emotional input becomes a seed that grows within you. Choose good seeds. The power of reframing. If emotions follow interpretation, then reframing is emotional alchemy. It's the art of changing meaning to change feeling. For example, imagine being stuck in traffic. Your habitual thought, "This is wasting my time." You feel anger and restlessness. Now reframe, "This is a pause to breathe and think about what's going right." Same event, new emotion. Reframing does not deny reality. It simply interprets it through a lens of growth instead of resentment. Meurisse writes, "When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change." He provides several quick reframing techniques. From loss to lesson. Ask, "What is this teaching me?" From failure to feedback. Say, "This is data for improvement." From rejection to redirection. Remind yourself, if not this, then something better. From pain to purification. Think, "This emotion is cleaning old wounds." Each reframe replaces bitterness with wisdom. Dealing with emotional overwhelm. Sometimes feelings come like waves too strong to analyze. In those moments, logic is useless. Presence is the medicine. Meurisse suggests using the stop method. S, stop. Freeze the moment. T, take a breath. Feel the air in your chest. O, observe. Notice your thoughts and sensations. P, proceed only when calmness returns. This 4-step method trains you to pause before reacting. Each pause rewires your emotional brain from impulsive to intentional. He emphasizes that emotional mastery doesn't mean you never feel overwhelmed. It means you recover faster each time. Emotional memory and reprogramming. Your current emotional responses are shaped by past conditioning. Childhood experiences, cultural messages, and repeated stories all write code in your subconscious. But the brain is plastic. It can be rewired. You can install new emotional associations through conscious repetition. Meurisse's practical advice. Every time a negative feeling arises, pair it with a constructive behavior. Example: when you feel anxious, instead of scrolling endlessly, Take 10 deep breaths or write in a gratitude journal. When repeated enough, your brain begins associating anxiety with calm action, transforming old patterns. He calls this emotional transmutation, converting low energy into high energy through choice. The role of gratitude and appreciation. Gratitude, he says, is not just a spiritual habit, it's an emotional reset button. It interrupts negativity by focusing attention on what's already good. And since the mind cannot hold gratitude and resentment simultaneously, gratitude becomes emotional armor. He advises starting small. Appreciate your breath. Appreciate a glass of water. Appreciate a quiet moment. This trains your brain's reticular activating system, the filter that decides what to notice, to seek blessings instead of burdens. Soon, you'll find yourself emotionally resilient even in storms, because gratitude shifts your baseline mood from scarcity to abundance. Forgiveness as emotional liberation. Another chapter explores forgiveness, one of the hardest emotional practices. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing behavior. It means freeing yourself from the emotional chain of the past. Holding grudges keeps you emotionally enslaved to the person who hurt you. Letting go breaks that chain. He offers a healing affirmation. I release you so I can be free. Say it not to condone, but to reclaim energy. Each time you release resentment, your emotional vibration rises. You become lighter, freer, clearer. Forgiveness, then, is a gift you give yourself. Emotional minimalism. Meurisse introduces the idea of emotional minimalism, decluttering your inner world the same way you might declutter your home. Ask yourself, which emotions do I habitually collect that no longer serve me? Which stories have I been replaying that drain me? Just like physical clutter consumes energy, emotional clutter consumes mental bandwidth. Simplify. Let go of drama, over-analysis, and emotional hoarding. When you create emotional space, peace naturally fills the gap. How to break emotional addictions. Surprisingly, the author discusses emotional addiction, the tendency to unconsciously seek familiar feelings, even negative ones. If you've lived in stress for years, calm may feel uncomfortable. If you've been defined by sadness, joy may feel foreign. Your brain associates identity with familiar emotion, no matter how painful. To break that cycle, recognize your emotional comfort zone, interrupt it with new behaviors, celebrate small moments of peace. Gradually, your nervous system learns to trust calmness as the new normal. This is the essence of emotional reprogramming, teaching the brain that peace is safe. Resilience. Bouncing forward, not just back. Meurisse reframes resilience not as returning to your old state, but evolving to a better state after struggle. He calls it bouncing forward. Every difficulty is emotional training. Each hardship teaches endurance, patience, and perspective. He writes, "The stronger your storms, the deeper your roots." Emotional mastery grows in the soil of adversity. The goal is not to avoid pain, but to integrate it into wisdom. Emotional mastery in daily life. The author provides practical examples. When criticized, breathe, then respond with curiosity. When anxious, label the feeling, not the story. When angry, move your body, release the tension physically. When sad, honor the feeling, then act on something meaningful. He reminds us, emotion wants motion, suppressed energy stagnates, expressed wisely, it heals. Mindset of the Emotional Master. By this stage, Meurisse summarizes the emotional master's mindset into 6 affirmations. I am not my emotions. I am the one who experiences them. Every emotion carries a message, not a verdict. No emotion is final. All are transient visitors. I choose interpretation over impulse. I create peace through awareness. My emotions serve me. They no longer rule me. Repeat them daily to anchor emotional sovereignty. From reaction to creation. When you stop reacting automatically, you gain time between stimulus and response, and in that space lies creative power. You begin to respond from consciousness instead of compulsion. You live by design, not by default. Meurisse concludes, emotional mastery is not about controlling life, but mastering the self that experiences life. Emotional mastery is not the end of the road. It's the bridge to a higher purpose. Once you understand your emotions and learn to manage them, the question becomes, what will you use that peace for? Thibaut Meurisse's philosophy is clear. Emotional mastery is not about becoming detached or robotic. It's about clearing emotional noise so that you can hear the whisper of your soul, your purpose, your truth, your deepest values. Purpose gives emotion direction. When life lacks purpose, emotions become scattered. Small problems feel huge, and energy leaks through endless overthinking. But once you anchor yourself in a clear sense of why, emotions find their rightful place. Fear becomes fuel. Sadness becomes reflection. Joy becomes gratitude. Meurisse explains, purpose is the compass that tells your emotions where to go. Every person must define their why, the reason they get up each morning, the mission that makes difficulty meaningful. Without it, emotions control you. With it, emotions serve you. He encourages journaling on these questions. What do I love so deeply that I would endure discomfort for it? What kind of person do I want to become? If today were my last day, what would I wish I had given more to? When you answer with honesty, clarity rises, and emotional chaos begins to fade. The power of identity. The emotions you experience most often are tied to the identity you've accepted. If you believe, I'm an anxious person, your mind will subconsciously seek evidence to confirm it. If you believe, I'm resilient, your brain will frame setbacks as challenges to overcome. Identity becomes emotional autopilot. To master emotions, rewrite your identity. Speak new truths into yourself daily. Instead of saying, I'm angry, say, I'm feeling anger. Instead of, I'm broken, say, I'm healing. This subtle shift from being the emotion to experiencing it changes everything. You go from being trapped in feelings to being the observer of them. Meurisse suggests creating identity affirmations that align with who you wish to be. I am calm under pressure. I remain peaceful regardless of external chaos. I trust myself to handle any emotion with grace. When repeated consistently, these statements rewire the subconscious mind. You begin to act in accordance with this higher emotional identity. Emotional wisdom versus emotional control. Some people misunderstand emotional mastery as emotional control, as if the goal is to suppress feelings and stay unshaken like a statue. Meurisse corrects this misconception. True mastery is wisdom, not suppression. It's not about being emotionless, but being emotionally fluent. Emotional wisdom is knowing when to express and when to pause, when to surrender and when to take action, when to comfort and when to challenge yourself. It's the balance between heart and mind. empathy guided by insight. He writes, "Emotional mastery is harmony, not hardness. You don't fight emotions, you dance with them. You let them flow through you, not against you." Understanding emotional energy. Meurisse explores the concept of emotional energy as vibration, an invisible force influencing perception and reality. Low-energy emotions like fear, guilt, or resentment contract your awareness. They make the world seem small and hostile. High-energy emotions like joy, love, and gratitude expand awareness. They make you creative, compassionate, and present. He teaches a simple practice. When you feel low, don't judge the feeling. Just ask, what would be one thought higher than this? For example, from despair to anger, more active. From anger to frustration, less blame. From frustration to hope, forward-looking. From hope to gratitude, peaceful. Step by step, emotion by emotion, you rise naturally up the ladder of vibration. Presence, the gateway to peace. At the heart of Master Your Emotions lies the secret of presence. Presence means being fully here, not lost in the movie of your mind. When you're truly present, emotion flows like water. It arises, peaks, and fades. It doesn't linger or poison your mind. Meurisse suggests practicing presence in ordinary moments. When drinking coffee, notice the warmth, the aroma, the taste. When walking, feel your feet touch the ground. When listening, truly hear without preparing your reply. Presence dissolves emotional tension because emotion thrives on time, on replaying the past or fearing the future. When you live now, emotion has no fuel. He quotes Eckhart Tolle's insight, "You are not the storm, you are the sky behind it." The more you practice presence, the more you live as that sky, vast, clear, untouched by passing weather. The law of emotional momentum. Emotions, like motion, gather momentum. The more you feed them, the stronger they become. Think of anger. The first spark is harmless, but replaying the story fans it into fire. The trick is to catch emotion early at the smallest spark before it grows. Meurisse's advice: interrupt emotion at the level of thought. If you can identify the thought the moment it appears, "They disrespected me," or "This always happens," you can choose to release it before it builds momentum. He compares it to steering a ship. If you change direction early, 1 degree makes a big difference. Wait too long, and it's hard to turn around. Dealing with fear and anxiety. Among all emotions, fear is the most persistent. It hides behind procrastination, perfectionism, and avoidance. To master fear, Meurisse teaches exposure through action. Fear feeds on inaction. It starves when you move. He writes, "You don't overcome fear by thinking, but by doing. Action creates new reference points that prove your safety. Each time you act despite fear, your confidence expands and fear loses control." He also recommends a powerful exercise. Visualize the worst-case scenario in vivid detail. Then ask, "Could I handle that?" Most of the time, the answer is yes, and your fear shrinks instantly. Dealing with emotional pain. Meurisse acknowledges that emotional mastery doesn't eliminate pain. It transforms your relationship with it. Pain becomes teacher, not tormentor. He suggests facing pain with curiosity. What is this feeling trying to teach me? Sometimes pain points to something you've been ignoring, a boundary to set, a dream to pursue, a truth to face. He writes beautifully, Behind every emotion lies unmet truth. Find the truth, and the emotion dissolves. By meeting your pain with understanding, you convert suffering into self-knowledge. Creating an emotional routine. Consistency is what turns theory into transformation. Meurisse proposes a daily emotional routine. Simple but life-changing. Morning, set intention. Today, I choose peace. Write 3 things you're grateful for. Visualize yourself handling challenges calmly. During the day, when triggered, take 3 conscious breaths. Name the emotion. Ask, what story am I telling myself? Evening, reflect, which emotion ruled my day? Reframe one stressful event. End with gratitude and release. Practice daily. This routine rewires emotional circuits. Over time, emotional mastery becomes effortless, your new default state. The importance of environment. Your environment either nourishes your emotional growth or poisons it. Surround yourself with people, music, words, and images that elevate your energy. Limit exposure to negativity, gossip, and digital chaos. He reminds us, you cannot plant peace in a garden of noise. Make your physical and digital environment reflect your desired emotional state. Calm, simple, and uplifting. From emotional survival to emotional creation, most people live in emotional survival, reacting to circumstances, chasing pleasure, avoiding pain. The emotional master lives in emotional creation, deliberately cultivating joy, calmness, and gratitude, regardless of external conditions. That's the highest level. Creating emotions by choice, not chance. When you wake up, you can choose your emotional tone for the day. You can say, today, I choose patience. And every time life tests you, you remember your choice. This daily self-leadership is where power truly lives. The art of surrender. After all the techniques, Meurisse concludes that sometimes the deepest mastery is surrender. Surrender is not giving up. It's giving over. It's trusting life when control fails. He writes, surrender is the wisdom of knowing when to stop fighting and start flowing. When you stop resisting emotions, you open space for grace. When you stop trying to force certainty, peace appears naturally. Surrender is the final step in emotional evolution, the ability to feel deeply, act wisely, and trust completely. Living as an emotional master. In the final chapters, Thibaut Meurisse paints the portrait of an emotionally masterful person. They are calm but not passive. They feel everything but attached to nothing. They respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. They seek understanding instead of blame. They uplift others without losing their own balance. Such people radiate serenity. Their presence feels safe, grounded, and alive. They inspire not by words, but by example. That, he says, is the true mark of emotional mastery, to become a beacon of balance in a chaotic world. Acceptance is one of the most powerful emotional management tools you can possess. Many of our emotional struggles come from resistance, from fighting against what we feel or trying to suppress emotions we deem bad. Thibaut Meurisse emphasizes that suppression only amplifies pain. What we resist persists. Acceptance does not mean you enjoy your negative emotions or that you approve of them. It means you acknowledge their existence without judgment. When you allow yourself to feel sadness, fear, or anger without labeling them as wrong, you remove their power over you. For instance, imagine feeling anxious before a presentation. Instead of saying, I shouldn't feel anxious, you can say, I notice I'm feeling anxious, and that's okay. This simple act of awareness shifts your relationship with your emotion. You move from being in the emotion to observing it. Thibaut compares this to sitting beside a river. Emotions are like water flowing past you. You can watch them come and go without jumping in. When you identify too closely with an emotion, it's as if you've been swept into the current. But when you simply observe, you remain anchored in peace. Self-awareness is the foundation of all emotional mastery. You cannot change what you don't recognize. This is why mindfulness, the practice of being present without judgment, is essential. Meurisse encourages journaling as a way to build awareness. Writing down your emotions helps you separate yourself from them and see patterns over time. Through journaling, you might notice that anger often arises when you feel ignored, or that sadness follows periods of exhaustion. This knowledge empowers you. Once you understand the triggers, you can manage your responses instead of reacting impulsively. Section 7. Detaching from emotional dependency. Many people, Meurisse notes, are emotionally dependent on external validation. We often tie our happiness to things outside ourselves, a partner's affection, social media approval, or professional success. This emotional dependency makes us fragile because when the external source disappears, so does our sense of worth. The key to mastering your emotions is developing emotional independence, learning to generate positive feelings internally. This doesn't mean isolating yourself or not caring about others. It means realizing that your happiness is your responsibility. Thibaut encourages readers to practice self-approval. Every morning, take a few minutes to affirm your worth. Say to yourself, I am enough, I am capable, I am deserving of peace. The more you repeat and internalize these truths, the less power external circumstances will have over you. He also reminds readers that people cannot make you feel anything without your consent. Others can trigger your emotions, but the interpretation you assign to their behavior determines how you feel. When someone criticizes you, instead of immediately feeling hurt, pause and consider, is this feedback true? If not, why am I letting it disturb me? This pause gives you freedom. Freedom to choose peace over pain. Another central concept in Master Your Emotions is the power of focus. Thibaut writes, whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, you'll notice more problems. If you focus on gratitude, you'll notice blessings everywhere. Your mind filters reality through the lens of your attention. This is why two people can experience the same situation, yet feel completely different about it. One may see inconvenience, the other, opportunity. The only difference is where they place their focus. Meurisse suggests adopting a gratitude mindset as a daily emotional workout. Each morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They can be simple: a meal, a kind word, a quiet moment. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to see abundance instead of lack. He also introduces the focus question. What's great about this situation? Asking this question, even in difficulty, forces your mind to look for value where it once saw pain. For example, if you lose a job, the pain is real, but so is the opportunity for growth, reinvention, or redirection. Shifting your focus doesn't erase the negative, but it balances your perception so that no emotion becomes overwhelming. Thibaut emphasizes the deep connection between the body and emotions. Your physiology often dictates how you feel. When you slouch, breathe shallowly, and stay sedentary, you signal to your brain that you're in danger or sadness. Conversely, standing tall, breathing deeply, and moving actively communicate confidence and vitality. He points out that emotions are energy in motion. To release negative energy, you must move it through your body. Bottled up emotions stagnate and manifest as tension or fatigue. Exercise, meditation, and deep breathing help your body process emotions in a healthy way. He also highlights the importance of sleep and nutrition. Emotional stability requires a well-rested and nourished brain. Dehydration, lack of sleep, or poor diet can amplify irritability and anxiety. Thus, mastering your emotions also involves caring for your physical health. To develop resilience, Meurisse suggests reframing adversity. Instead of saying, "Why me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Practicing patience. Emotions come in waves. None last forever. If you can stay calm during the storm, peace will return. Forgiving yourself. Emotional mastery includes compassion. You will slip, react, and make mistakes, and that's okay. Forgive quickly and move on, seeking meaning. When pain has purpose, it becomes bearable. Find meaning even in hardship. It transforms suffering into strength. He adds that resilience grows with exposure. The more you face emotional discomfort with courage, the stronger you become. Avoidance weakens you. Confrontation empowers you. In this section, Thibaut explores the relationship between thoughts and emotions. Every emotion begins with a thought, whether conscious or subconscious. If you can manage your thoughts, you can direct your emotional experience. For example, if you think, "I always fail," you'll feel defeated. But if you change that thought to, "I've learned from my mistakes and can do better," your emotional energy shifts instantly. He encourages practicing cognitive reframing, a psychological technique where you deliberately reinterpret an event. Suppose a friend cancels plans. Instead of thinking, "They don't value me," reframe it as, "They might be overwhelmed today, and I'll use this time to rest or do something productive." This simple mental shift can prevent unnecessary emotional pain. Thibaut also warns against catastrophizing, imagining the worst-case scenario. This habit fuels fear and anxiety. The antidote is to ground yourself in facts. What do I actually know? What can I control right now? What evidence supports my worry? By returning to truth, you reduce emotional exaggeration. Many people live trapped in emotional loops, reliving guilt, resentment, or shame. Thibaut emphasizes that emotional freedom requires letting go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means refusing to be emotionally enslaved by the past. He teaches the practice of release. Whenever a painful emotion arises, pause and say, "I allow this feeling to be here. I welcome it, and now I release it." You might need to repeat this several times, but each repetition loosens the emotion's grip. Over time, you'll feel lighter, freer. He also notes that forgiveness is one of the highest forms of emotional mastery. Holding on to resentment is like carrying poison. It hurts you more than the one who wronged you. Forgiveness liberates your heart and restores peace. Meurisse reminds us, you cannot control what others do, but you can always control how long you let their actions live inside you. Having neutralized negative patterns, Thibaut turns to cultivating positive emotions intentionally. He argues that joy, peace, and gratitude are not random. They can be designed through habit. He suggests the positive emotional rituals framework: morning priming, spend a few minutes visualizing a successful, peaceful day. Gratitude journaling, note things that bring joy. Kindness actions, do one act of kindness daily. It strengthens connection and happiness. Reflection at night, end each day by asking, what went well today? These small practices anchor positivity into your routine. He adds that happiness grows through contribution. Helping others creates meaning and emotional expansion. When you give, you move beyond the narrow confines of self, and joy naturally multiplies. Relationships are emotional amplifiers. They reveal the areas of your emotional growth. Thibaut explains that emotional mastery in relationships requires understanding both your needs and those of others. He introduces the concept of emotional triggers, events or behaviors that spark strong reactions. Recognizing your triggers prevents unnecessary conflicts. For instance, if criticism makes you defensive, pause before reacting. Ask yourself, why does this bother me? What fear is underneath? Often, triggers point to unhealed wounds. He also encourages empathetic listening. When others express emotion, don't rush to fix or argue. Simply listen and validate. Saying, I understand how that made you feel, can dissolve tension faster than logic. Emotional mastery in love and friendship is not about perfection. It's about presence. When you respond instead of react, when you understand instead of accuse, relationships deepen and heal. In the final chapters, Thibaut encourages readers to view emotional mastery as a lifelong practice, not a one-time achievement. You will always face emotional challenges, but each challenge is an invitation to grow. He suggests creating an emotional vision for your life. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be emotionally? How do I want to respond to adversity? What emotions do I want to embody daily? Write your answers and read them often. This creates an emotional compass to guide your choices. He concludes that emotional mastery is self-mastery. When you master your emotions, you master your life. You become the calm in the storm, the light in the darkness, the creator of your inner world, regardless of what happens externally. Final reflection, Thibaut Meurisse's master. Your emotions is not merely a self-help guide. It is a manual for inner transformation. It teaches that emotions are not enemies to control, but messengers to understand.